the universe's best-kept secret, why you can never go back to the past. Hello, curious minds. Welcome. Today we're going to do something together. We're going to take one of the simplest yet most profound questions out there. Why does time only go forward? Why do you remember today's breakfast but not tomorrow's dinner? I know it sounds obvious, but I promise you the answer will blow your mind. We're going to descend through 5 levels of knowledge together, and by the time we reach the bottom, your idea of reality, of the past, and of the future will have changed forever. Ready for the journey? Let's start with level 1, the surface we all know. The first fact is the most obvious of all, cause and effect. If you push a domino, it falls and hits the next one. The cause always comes before the effect. You've never seen a domino lift itself off the ground and then make your finger move back. It's the most basic rule of the game of reality. The second fact that defines us is aging. Think about it. Every day that passes, you are one day older, wrinkles appear, hair grays. Our childhood photos are a testament to a past we cannot return to. This relentless march towards the future dictates all our decisions. We study to get a good job tomorrow. We save for our retirement in the future. We rush so as not to be late for an appointment. We live projected forward because there's no other option. And this brings us to a third point, our very idea of time. Did you know we haven't always thought this way? For millennia, many cultures saw time as a circle. Seasons returned, rituals repeated, everything was an endless cycle. But then we began to write history, to record unique events. Time became a line, a narrative with a beginning, a development, and who knows, an end. The idea of a past and a future is in part a human invention to tell our own story. And finally, at this first level, there's the very sensation, that internal perception that time flows like a river, carrying us from the past towards the future. We all feel it. It's as real as hunger or sleep. But why? Why do we all share this illusion, if indeed it is an illusion? Why do we take for granted that time has a speed and a direction? So there you have it. Cause and effect, aging, the idea of linear time, and the sensation that it flows. This is what everyone knows, what we learn simply by being alive. It's the tip of the iceberg we see floating in the ocean of reality. But if this is what we see on the surface, what secret engines move it from below? What is the hidden machinery that forces time to march in only one direction? It's time to dive in. Welcome to level 2. Here's the first big revelation. Remember we talked about cause preceding effect, like a glass breaking? The physical reason behind this has a name, entropy. It's one of the most fundamental laws of the universe. Entropy is simply put a measure of disorder. Think of your room. It's much easier for it to become messy than for it to tidy itself, right? The universe is the same. It naturally tends from order to chaos. A perfectly ordered egg turns into a chaotic scramble. Time moves in the direction in which disorder increases. That is the thermodynamic arrow of time. This tendency towards disorder is an invisible rule that governs everything. It's not that there's a law that says eggs cannot return to their shells. It's a matter of pure probability. Imagine a 1,000-piece puzzle. There's only one way for all the pieces to be correctly ordered, but there are billions upon billions of ways for them to be disordered. The universe simply moves towards the most probable state, and the most probable state is always disorder. Watching a room become messy is like watching the universe doing what comes easiest to it. Now let's talk about why we feel time flows. This has to do with our mind and with a small factory error in our brain called hindsight bias. It's that I knew it all along feeling you get after something happens. Our brain is a story-creating machine. Once we know the outcome, we look back and connect the dots, creating a logical and ordered narrative that makes the past seem inevitable. This urge to order the past is what creates our psychological arrow of time, the feeling that we come from a fixed past and are heading towards an open future. But where did that initial order of the universe come from? This leads us to a cosmic mini-history, the Big Bang. Imagine almost 14 billion years ago. The entire universe, all energy, all matter, was compressed into an incredibly small, hot, and most importantly, super-ordered point. It was a state of very low entropy, and then it exploded. Since that moment, the universe has done nothing but expand, cool down, and become disordered. This expansion from a state of perfect order is the cosmological arrow of time. It's what gives direction to everything else. And this arrow of time, born of chaos and physics, actually solves one of our most basic needs, survival. Our ability to remember the past allows us to learn. Last time I ate that berry, I got sick. Our ability to project a future allows us to plan. If I hunt today, I'll eat tomorrow. The flow of time gives us a framework for understanding the world, for making decisions, and ultimately, for continuing to exist. But here comes the twist that changes everything. The most fundamental laws of physics, like gravity or electromagnetism, are time reversible. If you record a video of the Earth orbiting the Sun and play it backward, it looks perfectly normal. The basic laws of physics don't care if time goes forward or backward. So, the arrow of time doesn't come from the rules of the game, but from how the board was set up at the beginning. It comes from that incredibly ordered initial state of the Big Bang. Time has a direction not because of a law, but because of a cosmic accident. So in this second level, we have discovered the gears, the relentless march towards disorder called entropy, the echo of the Big Bang, and the way our brain constructs history. Understanding this machinery is not only fascinating, but it also gives us a much more powerful and precise insight into why our reality works the way it does. But if you thought we had it all clear, get ready, because this is where the story turns into a real mess. This is not a perfect picture. It's full of paradoxes, furious debates, and questions that keep us awake at night. It's time to go down to level 3. The first big controversy that will make you doubt everything: is time real or just a stubborn illusion? There are two camps. One camp, inspired by Einstein, says that the past, present, and future all exist at once, in a four-dimensional block. Time doesn't flow, we simply pass through it. The other camp says that's absurd, that the present is real, the past is gone forever, and the future is genuinely unwritten. Is the universe a pre-recorded movie or a play being improvised live? Physicists don't agree. Now let me tell you a secret. Many people believe in the myth that traveling to the past is theoretically possible, that we just lack the technology. But physics screams no. Think about the grandfather paradox. You travel to the past and prevent your grandparents from meeting, then you are never born. But if you are never born, who went back to prevent them from meeting? It's a logical contradiction that breaks reality. And why do we love to believe in this myth? Because we crave control. The idea of being able to fix our past mistakes is the ultimate power fantasy. And here comes a paradox that drives cosmologists crazy. It's known as the low entropy past mystery. If the universe tends towards disorder, why on earth did it start in such an incredibly ordered state? Statistically, it's the most improbable thing that could have happened. It's like walking into a room and finding all the air molecules grouped in one corner. There's no good explanation for it. It's the original why, the question behind the very existence of the arrow of time. Now let's get critical. Remember the idea of the block universe where the future is already written? Let's think about its consequences. If every one of your actions, every thought, every crime, and every act of kindness are already etched into the fabric of space-time, what about free will? Are we truly responsible for our decisions? Or are we just puppets following a cosmic script? This challenges our most basic ideas about justice, morality, and merit. Is it truly fair to blame someone for something they were destined to do? Even our idea of now has changed over time. For Isaac Newton, now was universal. An instant that was the same for the entire universe. But then Einstein arrived, and with his theory of relativity, he shattered everything. He showed that time is relative. Your now is not the same as that of an astronaut traveling at full speed. Time passes slower for them. So the debate is no longer about the nature of the present, but about whether a unique and universal present even exists. In the end, all of this connects with the human condition in the most brutal way possible. The arrow of time forces us to confront our own mortality. It's a one-way street that ends, for each of us, in the same place. This awareness of our own end is the source of enormous anxiety, but also of everything that makes us human. Art, love, science, the desire to leave a legacy, and to find meaning in our brief passage through the cosmos. And so we close level 3. The reality is that time is a messy topic, full of heated debates, mind-bending paradoxes, and questions that force us to question our own freedom and existence. There are no easy answers here. Science itself is at a crossroads. All right, you've survived the chaos. You've seen that what seemed simple is a labyrinth. Now it's time to see the details that separate the curious from the true connoisseurs. Welcome to level 4, the knowledge of experts. Let's start with something you won't find in a quick search, the measurement problem in quantum physics. Some physicists believe that the arrow of time is born in the subatomic world. A particle, like an electron when not observed, exists in a kind of cloud of all possibilities. But the moment we measure it, that cloud collapses into a single point, into a concrete reality. And this collapse, this choice of one reality among many, is an irreversible process. Perhaps this act of creating reality is the most fundamental engine of time. Now hold on tight, because we're going into something very dense, but I'll explain it with an analogy. There's a famous equation in theoretical physics called the Wheeler-DeWitt equation. It attempts to describe the entire universe using the laws of quantum mechanics. And the craziest thing is that in this fundamental equation, there is no variable for time. Time simply disappears. How is that possible? Imagine the universe is a giant tapestry telling a story. From afar, you see the narrative, the flow of events. But if you get close with a microscope and look at a single thread, you no longer see the story, you just see the thread. The Wheeler-DeWitt equation is like looking at that thread. Time might not be fundamental, but rather something that emerges when you step back and see the full picture. I want to tell you about a secret and tragic hero of this story, Ludwig Boltzmann. In the late 19th century, it was he who proposed that the arrow of time was due to entropy and probability. Today, it's a central idea, but in his time, his colleagues laughed at him. They attacked him mercilessly, saying it was absurd that something as fundamental as time could be based on something as vulgar as the statistics of disorder. The scientific community isolated him, and engulfed in deep depression, Boltzmann took his own life. Decades later, history proved him right. He was a genius who paid the price for seeing the future before anyone else. Now let's talk about a rebellious theory, one of those that sound like science fiction. It's called the Janus universe hypothesis, like the two-faced Roman god. What if the Big Bang wasn't the beginning, but a midpoint? This theory proposes that at the Big Bang, time began to flow in two opposite directions. That there exists a mirror universe to ours, on the other side of the Big Bang, where time runs backward from our perspective. For them, we are their cosmic past. It's a radical idea that completely redefines the origin of everything. Now, a scientific detail that directly clashes with our common sense: quantum eraser experiments. They are incredibly complex, but the result is counterintuitive. In these experiments, it seems that a decision a scientist makes now about what and how to measure a particle can change the outcome of a measurement that occurred in the past. It's not that information is sent, but it shows that the strict separation between past, present, and future is not so clear at the quantum level. Reality is much stranger than we think. And here comes the aha moment that connects many of the ideas we've seen. What is entropy really? It's a measure of the information we lack. A messy room has high entropy because we don't know where everything is. An ordered room has low entropy because we have all the information. Now think about quantum collapse. We go from a cloud of possibilities, little information, to a defined outcome, more information. What if the arrow of time isn't the increase of disorder, but the increase of information? The universe advances by creating records, memories in our brain, fossils and rocks, light from distant stars reaching our telescopes. Time advances because the universe is constantly writing its own biography. And with this, we close the fourth level. Understanding these details, from the absence of time in an equation to the connection with information, isn't just about accumulating data. It's about gaining a more authentic, deeper, and honestly more mind-blowing insight into the very structure of reality. We have reached the limit of what is known. We have explored what science can tell us with certainty and what it furiously debates. Do you dare to look beyond, to the final frontier, the realm of speculation and wonder? Let's go to level 5. First speculative idea, could we someday locally reverse the arrow of time? I'm not talking about time travel to the past. I'm talking about a future civilization so advanced that it could manipulate entropy. Could they create a bubble where things would order themselves? Where a broken egg would return to its shell? The energy cost would be unimaginable, but is it physically impossible? The truth is we don't know. Perhaps one of the ultimate goals of intelligence in the cosmos is to learn to say no to the second law of thermodynamics. And this leads us to the deepest question of all, one that science may never be able to answer. Why did the universe begin in such a perfectly ordered state? Or even more fundamentally, why is there something rather than nothing? Science can describe the universe a fraction of a second after its birth, but the question of why there was a birth in the first place, the ultimate why, remains the domain of philosophy, perhaps forever. Now, a philosophical implication that will leave you breathless. If the arrow of time is linked to increasing disorder, what will happen at the end of the universe? The most accepted theory is called heat death. The universe will expand and cool until everything is a cold, uniform soup of maximum disorder. In that state, there will be no more changes. Nothing will occur. And if time is defined by change, then in the heat death of the universe, time itself will cease to exist. The ultimate fate of the cosmos could be an eternity without time. And this, in a strange way, gives humanity a new purpose. What is life? It's an island of order in an ocean of chaos. Every time we build a house, write a poem, solve an equation, or even have a coherent thought, we are fighting against entropy. We are creating order. Perhaps the great adventure of intelligent life in the universe is to be the rebellion against the second law, the conscious attempt to keep the lights on a little longer before the final night. And here I leave you with the last idea, the most provocative of all. Perhaps time is not fundamental. Perhaps it's not even real in the sense we believe. Maybe reality is a much larger, timeless structure, and we, with our limited brains, can only experience it sequentially, as if reading a book page by page. What if the universe isn't a story being told, but a magnificent poem that already exists in its entirety, and we are just a reader trapped in a verse. Our descent through the 5 levels has ended. We have touched the bottom of the abyss of knowledge about time. Now, with this new and dizzying perspective, it's time to rise to the surface and contemplate the full picture. It's incredible, isn't it? We started this journey with something as simple and mundane as a glass falling and breaking, an example of cause and effect. And look where we've arrived. We're ending with the idea that the universe could be a timeless poem, that our destiny is to fight against the law that creates time, and that time itself could dissolve into nothingness at the end of everything. The distance between that broken glass and the heat death of the universe is the distance we've traveled together. Your view of that simple one-way street has, I hope, transformed into a cosmos of astonishing possibilities. So now I ask you, of all the ideas we've explored, from entropy and disorder to the block universe or the idea that we are rebels against the laws of physics, which one has impacted you the most? Which one has made you see the clock on your wall in a completely different way? I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining me on this profound journey. Please share your thoughts in the comments. I'm dying to read them. And if you're passionate about unraveling the great mysteries of the universe, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next adventure.